What up? This is D.O.S. from O.SBEATS. I'm back with another tutorial. I'm going to do a little tutorial on snare rolls and different snare patterns instead of having just that same basic snare. It's not going to be any fancy work or anything like that. Basically, there's different types of things you can do with the snare. You can do a snare roll, you can do a double snare, a triple snare. There's just different variations, and I always see questions about it, so I wanted to do a little tutorial to kind of help out as far as understanding what you can do with the snare. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, I have my tempo set at about 90. Let me just throw a hi-hat on there real quick. Alright, that'll work. Okay. What I'm going to start off doing is I have my hi-hat on my top. See, it's highlighted there. I'm working on my MPC Renaissance, so I'm not using the screen really. I'm going to put my 16 levels on my hi-hat, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you different tones for your hi-hats. It's always best so it gives you a little bit more flavor when you're using them. Okay, so I have it. It's pad 13 selected. Pad 13 is my hi-hat. So let's hear how it sounds. Alright, so you see there's different tunes as far as the snare. I'm sorry, not the snare, the hi-hat. Let me go ahead and lay something down real quick. Alright, I got some snares selected. Make sure you take off your 16 level before you try changing another pad, or it's going to stay on. I tend to forget that. Alright, what I like to do for my snares is kind of change them up. I layer them because I don't like them sounding the same. But there's another thing I do. So I have, it's going to be pad 5 selected. That's my first snare. You can see it right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to layer it. But I'm going to layer it with the same snare. And I'm going to spread it out. I did a tutorial on this in a previous video. It really helps fill out the snare. So let me do that real quick. Big difference. If you want to see that tutorial, go ahead and check it out. It's on my page, and it can be helpful. Turn it down just a little more. Alright, there's going to be a big difference in sound. Put a little bass drum real quick. Okay, now you have your basic hi-hat, your snare, and your bass drum. Now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make that snare sound like it's constantly rolling. There's different ways to do that. The first one is going to be a double snare. Your double snare. You can either go put after your snare or before, that's up to you. I like to lower the velocity a little bit. What that does is it gives you a different effect as far as, you know, sound level. So it does kind of sound like a little bit of a tap delay. That's a double snare. Now let's play around with a little bit of a snare roll. It's a little bit of a snare roll. you can get more intricate with it as far as setting your different time signatures. You can put some swing on it. What you do when you put swing on it, it's going to move your notes a little bit to the right. The more swing you put on it, the more it moves it. I like to use swing a little bit. Okay, let's play it just so you can hear a little bit of the difference. I'm going to set about 60. Okay, that's with the swing. This is without the swing. If you make a beat and there's not really any swing, whether it's natural swing or using the swing with software, it sounds kind of robotic to me, and it's not very appealing to me personally. Let's go ahead and let's do something else as far as snares. What I did on that is I put a little bit of a snare roll in front of your first snare. That's something I kind of picked up off of Paulo Brown on a couple of his instrumentals. I noticed that and I wanted to try it. It's a cool little technique. I don't use it too often because for me personally it interacts with my bass drum, but on some beats it is very nice to use, and I've noticed that Paulo Brown does use that a lot on some of his beats. Let's hear it again. Okay, what we're doing here is this is kind of making the snare sound continuous throughout. Boom bap's real popular for having, some snare rolls. It's also real popular for just having that kick and snare. So sometimes it's cool to switch it up to make it sound like it's constantly rolling through your bars. And that's what this kind of does a little bit. Let's do something else. When it comes to making beats, don't ever be afraid to try a note or put a note somewhere. I know we kind of get in the habit of kick, snare, hi-hats here, but what makes it different is when you try to change it up. And sometimes, you may create some of the hottest shit like that. Excuse my language, but it's true. We all get used to the same pattern going over and over, and honestly, when I'm listening to beats, sometimes that's kind of what I listen for, and it kind of isn't impressive to me. But some of the beats that I hear with rhymers over it sound really dope with the rhymer, and then I hear the instrumental and it seems really, really basic. So switching up your snares, your kicks, everything like that can always help in making an average beat turn into something better. Let's do something else. Now you have a little bit of a snare roll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the volume on this, velocity. And now that you can hear, there's a little bit of a snare roll in there. You can keep it going too. Sorry, missed that. Let me put something together real quick so you can kind of hear the beat with the snare roll in it like that. Now, snare rolls, all you really have to do is hold down your note repeat on your MPC Renaissance, or on your keyboard you can hold down in and it'll do the same function. Depending how you have your time signature set up is where it's going to be placed. If you do it with the swing, it is going to put it a little bit off. It's not going to be right on the note. And I mean, that's kind of what makes beats different, when you kind of move stuff around instead of just being a basic, you know, beat on a graph. We have 2 bars with the rolling snare. You can add and start layering your hi-hats, start layering your drum kicks, start layering snare, cymbals, bongos, congos, clavs, whatever you like. I mean, it's all up to you. What you do is going to make it different. So I've showed you a couple ways of using different snare techniques. You can hear that just like that before I delete it. That's cool. Now let's do another double snare technique, but I'm going to do it a little different this time. You have 2 bars here, so what I'm going to do it just on the second bar. That way the second bar sounds different than the first bar. Take out that 16 note or it's going to do that. Just by adding that second snare, it makes your drum sound a whole lot different. Change the velocity a little bit. Now, I don't really make trap music that much. You know, they have a lot of snares, a lot of rolling snares. I'm mainly influenced by boom bap, so I try different techniques. Just that second snare will make your drum sound a whole lot different. Alright, that's on the second bar. You can do it on the first. Whoops. And that's basically different little snare techniques real quick. What I tend to do in my snares too. Okay, I layered 1 snare. See, this snare is layered, you can see it right here. It's 3 snares on the same and I have it pan left to right. My second snare, what I'm going to do real quick is add some reverb. I don't like it sounding wet, where there's a ton of reverb. So you can use your dry, wet. I usually tend to vary it more towards the dry than wet. Too much reverb is never good. So that's a couple techniques on using your snares. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check back with my channel anytime. I'm going to keep putting up tutorials on different drums and sampling and just basically using MPC software. I love my MPC Renaissance. That's what I tend to use. I also got a beat tape about to drop. Completely 30 beats, free for anybody who downloads it. Free to use. Check it out. Like the page, subscribe, and spread the word. Thanks for watching.